This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by Domain.com. Okay, I think that's on. Today on Film Riot, I crack out the top 5 places on the internet for filmmakers. Welcome to Film Riot, the show that takes the mystery out of the effects and techniques going to some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley, and as you noticed, there was no sketch today. Yeah, I know, but it's because I have no actors. Everyone went out of town this week, leaving me completely home alone. But it's kind of nice having the place to myself.
This is the life. Get up when you're good and ready.
Anywho, on today's episode, email me. Hey, Rye Guy, Superfly Guy. Okay. No, you know what? Never mind. Could you do an episode about some of your favorite podcasts and websites? Homie, bro, I like it. Hit it. That's right, I'm the only one here. First up on my list of web delights starts in pre-production and development help, and that is johnaugust.com. His website is a blog with a wellspring of information for screenwriters. You can go through a lot of his old posts and find great info on formatting a screenplay, development, and so on. What makes this site so great is the fact that John August is a fantastic screenwriter that is still working in the industry right now. He's written films like Big Fish, Titan A.E., Go, and most recently, he did Frankenweenie. So all this advice and knowledge is coming from someone who's actually successful and currently doing it in Hollywood. So definitely jump over to johnaugust.com, go through all the backlog of his posts. He's got tons of advice, tons of great info, and great educational blogs for writers. Again, from Mr. John August, it's his podcast Script Notes, which is hands down my favorite podcast. Script Notes is a weekly discussion between him and Craig Mazin, who is the writer of the Hangover films and the upcoming film Identity Thief. And I gotta say, this podcast is an absolute must for writers. Again, it isn't someone who just went to film school and think they know about the industry. These are two guys who are heavily involved to the top levels of the industry, and what I really love is how down to earth they are about the whole process. They don't make it fantastical or mystical about the industry or the process of filmmaking. They just tell it how it is. One thing they started doing recently on the show is to have people send in 3 pages of their script, and then they'll pick a few to read and critique on the show. And hearing 2 pros dissect a script like that is extremely helpful for any upcoming writer. I cannot recommend this podcast enough. You can find the podcast on his site here or on iTunes right here. Sticking to screenwriting, my next site of awesomeness is simplyscripts.com. Now, I've told you guys a bunch of times that one of the best ways to learn and enhance your screenwriting is by reading professional scripts, and this site is my favorite place to find them. It is very simple to navigate this bad boy, and it has a very good search function. Plus, they have a discussion board, unproduced script section, and treatment. So again, this is very helpful for all of us writers. Check it out here, download some scripts, and get your read on. Actually, download some treatments and outlines too. It's great to see how pros format those. It's very helpful. Next up is imdbpro.com. Now, I'm sure all of you know IMDb. I'd be shocked if you didn't, but there's also a paid version of that site called IMDb Pro. It's a bit pricey at $16 a month or $125 for a year subscription, but the site makes you feel like a Hollywood insider, and it's really great for helping you begin to understand the business side of Hollywood. On top of its in-depth industry news, it also has much more info on individual films than the normal IMDb site has. For instance, within a film, you can go to the business tab, find the budget for the film, its gross, and which production companies were involved, and their contact info. Which brings me to the most amazing thing about IMDb Pro. You can get the contact info for just about anyone in the industry. Say, for instance, I want to try to get a phone interview with, I don't know, Steven Spielberg. I'll just search him out, go to his contact tab, find his agent, and boom. So if you're looking into getting more connected into the industry or need contacts for people in the industry, this site is extremely helpful and worth looking into. And the final site I have today is makingup.com. This site was co-founded by Natalie Portman and has tons of great behind-the-scenes looks at major Hollywood films and the departments that make them happen. But where this site really excels is in its insider interviews. Hover over this tab here and you can select from all major jobs that go into making a film. For instance, I could click on directors and then choose from interviews from Danny Boyle, Darren Aronofsky, Neil Blomkamp, and tons of others. But you can also go to composers, editors, and any of these other jobs and find really great interviews that dive into very helpful topics. Not that typical surface fluff that you'll find in the mainstream interview. So go here and get your learn on. But that is my top 5 favorite sites for development and pre-production. But I have more. Next week, we're going to do a part 2 where I'm going to jump into 5 more of my favorite sites, including a few on gear review and others on some post tutorials. But now, let's pay some bills. If you're a filmmaker, photographer, musician, animator, whatever it is, own your own business, you probably want to be advertising yourself on the internet, and if that's the case, you're going to need yourself a domain name and website. The best place to go, as I've said a bajillion times, is domain.com. I really believe in domain.com. I use them myself, and they're my favorite place to go for domain name and web hosting. They just make it easier than everything else. Clutter-free, it's a beautiful thing. And even more beautiful is the fact that you can get 15% off your domain name and web hosting when you use the coupon code FilmRiot when you're checking out at domain.com. So if you're looking to get yourself a presence on the internet, get started at domain.com, use the coupon code FilmRiot, save you some bucks, and you know, help keep our lights on in the meantime. Logo. What? An explosion? Yes. And a real one. This past weekend, I had the pleasure of crashing the set of the latest Gizmo Slip episode, which is a new addition to the Revision 3 family. And if you haven't heard of these guys, basically they drop test in high-speed slow motion all sorts of products. And if the product fails the drop test, they blow it up with their explosion expert friend, Matt Barnett. So when they asked me to be on the show to help them blow up an iPhone 5, I heard iPhone 5 and explosion, and that's all I really needed. The location was amazing, and one that I will definitely have to go back to for some film variety things in the future. But once there, we had a blast shooting the episode with me acting like an idiot, of course. But then the real fun came when we blew the crap out of an iPhone 5. But that wasn't the coolest part. We ended up needing a plane, which I, of course, said we could add in post as a visual effect. But then Matt whips out a phone and calls up a friend to do flyovers for us to grab on camera. Yeah, I love this man. After the awesomeness of that was complete, it was finally time for the best thing of all, this.
Fire in the hole in 3, 2, 1.
We blew up a frickin' car for real. And then watch that mother effer burn to the ground. It was manly, destructive, and a blasty. Best part about it is that the Gizmo Slip guys have both of those explosions in high-speed slow motion on the episode that I guested in. They use the Sony FS700 for this, and they got some great footage from it. So jump over to their episode right here and see the final product and the car going kaplooey in slow motion. It is a delight. Plus, if you jump over, they told me that if you post a comment saying Film Riot sent me and subscribe to the channel, the boys are going to be giving out a $50 gift certificate to Best Buy to someone who does, which is pretty nice. Somebody at random. So jump over, click, and enjoy explosion goodness. Well, kiddies, that's it for today. I'm dropping off this piece like something that doesn't stay around anymore or something. But hey, today's the day. Tell Blu-rays will now be available for purchase at 7 p.m. today, the 27th. Again, we only have a limited supply left, and this is just a Blu-ray, no scripts this time. So if you want one, be sure to jump over and order as soon as it goes live, which you will find right here, again, at 7 p.m. today, which today is September 27th, right here. Get them. We've got a lot of requests, so I'm not sure how long these are going to last. I don't want you guys to miss out, so definitely check it out. I'll also be posting from all the social networks. But I'll see you guys next week when I go to get magical stones back from an evil voodoo-loving bastard.